For those that missed the beginning of today's program, my name is Kim Elena Ionescu, and I am the Chief Sustainability and Knowledge Development Officer at the Specialty Coffee Association. I have learned a lot in putting together the program for today's Coffee Retail Summit, and just over the past few months, having exploratory meetings with some of our presenters and our panelists, all the people we've been hearing from today. And my conversation with our final speaker, Dominika Poniatowska, reminded me of how good and how valuable some retail training is. We started talking a couple of weeks ago, and since then I've been thinking about some of those retail basics that so often get forgotten and are just so fundamental to any business. So Dominika joined Costa Coffee in 2018 from a background in category management, customer insights, and revenue growth management, with a particular focus on the beverage market. She is currently responsible for portfolio management, including pricing strategy and adapting promotions to meet shopper needs. Dominika is based in Poland, which I learned from her has more Costa retail stores than any country other than the United Kingdom. So I will remind you all to please keep posting your questions and comments in the chat window while Dominika is speaking. And at the end of her talk, I'll be back for a few minutes of Q&A. So thanks again to the sponsors who've made this event possible. And Dominika, take it away.
Thank you very much, Kim, for the introduction. So hello, everyone. Today we had really great sessions, including different angles and how to look at the businesses. But I would like to share some knowledge with you from my perspective. So during the first part of my presentation, I would focus more about trade marketing, perception, and revenue growth management. And in the second part, I would like to give you some tips for shopper insights and how to look at those areas as well in the businesses. We've heard today at the very beginning that our main goal is to have a great product, crafted coffee, engage baristas, and then engage guests as well. But what about we have everything like this, but we do not have sales, especially right now we can ask ourselves these questions during pandemic time after each wave of lockdown. So first we need to think about, we need to deep dive and think about how to break our sales into 4 major components. First of all, if we talk about sales and if we talk about, okay, how I could get engaged guests, how can I get more consumers? It is important to know whether I'm aiming to get more people in my store, or maybe I have enough people in my stores and I need to engage them more, so gain frequency of visits. Then I need to think about other activities to encourage them to visit my store within a month, even 3 or even 4 times. Later on, we can also think about the products which are in the basket, so at the transactions. From one side, we can think about giving more products, because the more people purchase, the higher the average transaction value is. And of course, even though they decide to purchase only 1 or 2 products, we still have some mechanisms to think of about how to encourage them to spend more money per product. And just to not to stay only on the pure theory, I would like to give you some of the examples as well. So for some of you, it might be a kind of repetition, but for some of you, it might be something new. Just to make sure that we all understand, okay, what does it mean more people, and if they come to and visit us more often? It means that we want to influence the number of transactions. So how many tickets we see during the day, or maybe within a month. If we're talking about purchasing more products by our consumers, or maybe to encourage them to spend more money per product, it means that we want to influence average transaction value. And if we want to think about, I don't have enough sales right now, especially during the pandemic times, because these times are uncertain for most of us. So is there any unique recipe for a perfect activation? So how can I get more sales in a short period of time? So I would say there is no unique answer. Everything depends on your goals or on your business goals. Everything depends on which of these components I was talking about you want to focus on. So starting with the giving you more transactions, so more people and more often. What can we do, and in which occasion is the best moment to activate those things? So first of all, if we want to think about more people, it is important to think about something unique, how I would like to be perceived on the market, and to activate a unique consumption occasion, which is so in line with my business goals. Naturally, if we think about coffee stores, we talk about drinking coffee, but talking only about coffee these days, it's not enough. It's mostly about talking about the occasion. So, for example, having a pleasure with my friends, having a good time in the evening, or maybe having breakfast in the morning. And as you can see the examples, one of from our field, we decided as a Costa to launch new breakfast menu and start communicating it heavily. What you can do, you can think both about short-term activation and long-term activation. Some of them, which might be a short-term activation, may focus on activations for 1 or 2 days, or maybe for 2 weeks. Some other may last even longer, like a whole season. If you decide to do it only for a short period of time, you can play even more aggressively to make bigger buzz on the market, like, for example, doing some sampling, or maybe giving a good value for money proposition to your guests, like coffee for only a few zlotys, or maybe for a few euro, depending on which market you play in. So when is the best moment to focus on bringing more people to my store then? First of all, if you want to enter new field, new occasion, and you really want to new guests to focus and associate your brand with this occasion, then it's really important to prepare a huge communication regarding this new occasion. Not necessarily, it doesn't mean necessarily that you need to also discount heavily. It is important to show the full creation, to show the moment how to use your products, how to in which occasion drink your coffee and eat your tasty, for example, sandwiches. Another example is when we right now, which is I think really common on our markets. It's really important when we have particular lockdowns or particular waves of pandemic. After each wave, when we know that most of our guests probably stays at home and not necessarily go outside so often as they used to do so. Then after each wave, it's good to remind our guests, we are here for you. Welcome back. We have prepared something special for you, my dear guests. And as you can see, not necessarily you do not have to address whole day. You can have only limited offer for particular day part, as for example for mornings. If you see that after next wave we had challenge with the number of transactions in the morning, you can offer something more which is disruptive on the market specifically for morning occasions, as we did, for example, with latte for 6 zloty. It was a great offer for our guests after they came back to school in the autumn. What is also important, do not afraid to offer such limited value for money proposition. The great learnings we had from such activation is that these communication give the buzz on the market, but those who are reached thanks to such communication not necessarily purchase this offer. We've noticed that many people, even though they've noticed the communication about latte, they decided not only buy a latte but also something to eat, or even decided to purchase other sandwiches or other coffees as well. So it means that it gives you the chance to communicate more with your consumer, but it doesn't mean that all of the consumers will purchase only this offer. You can always add something more to your to their baskets. And last but not least, if you want to activate a new channel, totally new channel, like for example, you by the time being, you have only stores in the city centers, and now you open it in a residential area. This is a great moment also to create an event for your new guests in this residential area. If you enter delivery channel, like we did 2 years ago with Costa Coffee, it is a great moment also to give a nice offer and communicate with your guests that it's okay that you do not want to go outside when there is another lockdown. We are still for you there. You can purchase your favorite coffee online via our partners, like here on the examples. You can always think also about additional partners to join to your idea. For example, if you manage the store and if you run the business, for example, in a shopping mall, there are always propositions from landlords to create an event to join the forces and encourage more guests to visit the shopping mall as a total. Then you can participate together in such actions and encourage guests to visit your store as well. The same if we're talking about the stores within high street segment. If you have any partners to join you to create an event, to create a buzz to your consumers, it is also well perceived by the guest, making sure that your local store marketing is activated as well. So, we've brought more people to our stores, then we can think about how I can encourage them to come more often to my store. So first of all, if we have loyalty programs, it's a bit easier for us to create such mechanism because we encourage those people to gain more points, more like beans, for example, in our case. But if you do not have your own application, it's okay. You still can use very popular cards like stamp cards. So you give a reward for like every 5th or 10th visit as well. You can give also, just to make sure that the frequency of visits is at a satisfactory level as you like. You can give the limit in terms of the date. So, for example, create a coupons for free visits, but they are valid only for a month. When we can use it, if you already done an activation or done a buzz just to encourage new consumers to visit your stores, then you see that you have many occasional guests. It's good to encourage them with such mechanism to come and visit you even more. Or even if you have your loyalty program, then it's even easier to play with the frequency of visits. These guests, which come and visit you frequently, you can call them that they are engaged. You can learn even more from them, from your own data, how they behave and what kind of activities you can prepare for the near future and which will suit today's needs. Okay, we talked already about the transactions. Let's move to average transaction value, because this is also a very interesting part. If we have our baskets with our traffic driver, which is probably coffee in most of our cases, then we can think about increasing the average transaction value. When can we think about it? if we have transaction mostly with one product and mostly in most cases with coffee, very often it's not enough to run the business these times. It's also important to encourage people to add something more, so play with cross-selling, for example. In terms of pandemic, we also can struggle if there is another lockdown. We can struggle the issues how to manage the stocks in our warehouses. Then it's good to prepare such additional offers. When you reward people, if they purchase more, then they pay less per product. If there is also a natural occasion when we know that, coffee stores are associated with such occasion, like, for example, even recently we had Valentine's Day. That was the great moment that naturally many people visited stores, and then we could encourage them to buy even more products. Therefore, you can offer second piece of cake for with a discount, or a third product with a discount, and so on and so on. What is important here, you do not necessarily need to discount the very first product, and which means naturally in many cases cannibalization level. You can start giving the reward from second or third product depending on the scale of your business or your goals. What is also important, if you have a lower number of transactions, like for example during each wave of pandemic, this is the factor you do not control, whether there is a next wave of pandemic or not, and it's extremely difficult to encourage people to come and visit you even more often during such time. Therefore, you need to think about such solutions which could increase your average transaction value. And such mechanism is a great tool as well. And last but not least from this field, you can also encourage people, even if they come and visit you and purchase 2 products in average on a regular basis, you can always encourage them to purchase new categories, new products, and you can premiumize your offer as well thanks to such mechanism. For example, if you still are not satisfied with the level of average transaction value, you can reward people for purchasing more premium products. If you have loyalty program, it's a bit easier because you can add additional points, for example, for seasonal products like seasonal cakes or maybe seasonal sandwiches, which are more premium versus a regular offer. You can also give a reward if your consumer would purchase bigger cups, like not necessarily the smallest cups of coffee, but maybe a medium or a large. These are the tools which may quickly switch your sales and bring incremental value. And as you can see, those mechanisms do not mean that you need to give additional discount. It means that you more play with your service model. If you have trainings, regular trainings for your baristas, and they are aware of the offer, which novelties are the most popular and most interesting for our guests, then you can bring an incentive program for your baristas as well in order to sell chosen categories. So here I would say that it's more about service model and encouraging people to purchase additional products or exchange them to premium one, or maybe novelties, or maybe adding some more to your coffee, like additional espresso, or changing the size of your cup. So having in mind that depending on the situation in which we are, whether there is right now any lockdown or not, or maybe we are just after the lockdown, you can think about the activation which would answer the particular component. So try to think of, whether my next goal for the next month is rather to bring more people to my business, or maybe to encourage them to come and visit my store more frequently. Or maybe I'm satisfied with the level of engagement from my guests, or maybe I need to ask them to and encourage them to purchase different products, that not only cups of coffee. Maybe I can encourage them to purchase also packed coffee and drink my coffee at home as well. Or maybe I could encourage them to try some novelties, which I know that can bring incremental value to my business. So, okay, we already know how to build our business, on which components to focus on, but we need to start about from the insights. So how we can get the knowledge from the market. I can definitely recommend you three major points of sources. First of all, always start with your data and analysis. This is very crucial, that somehow in everyday work we might forgetting about this point, especially if we talk about category performance. I'm not talking here about the typical logistics or financial data, but more like from category perspective. So, okay, which days are the most important days during the month, or maybe which day part is the most important for me, and in which I have the biggest increase or maybe decrease in terms of transaction number. Where should I focus on? Secondly, we have also external resources. And in terms of external resources, I'm not talking only about paid agencies, well-known agencies for insights, like probably these are the international examples like GfK, Nielsen. I'm talking also about where to find and seek for online free of charge information as well. And last but not least, competition landscape. But I don't want to sounds like, okay, I'm thinking about only looking after my competitors, but rather about finding new inspiration for you, your business, and yourselves. So let's have a look a bit in details, and also in terms of examples. If we start with our own data, as I already mentioned, it's really important to look more in details in terms of category management. So first of all, look at the performance of particular stores and segment. Naturally, we start with the total as and general metrics, but then it's really important to check which segments drive my sales and which not necessarily. Where is my biggest challenge and what I can do with that. The same in terms of the stores. Sometimes there are some stores which, even though right now we have pandemic, they play really well on the market. They have really engaged guests, and therefore we can use insights from their sites feedback from their sites, and try to use those for the total business as well. Secondly, weekdays versus weekends. In some segments, the situation during pandemic changed rapidly. For example, if you have stores within office segments, so next to offices, probably you've monitored a huge decrease in terms of transaction during the weekdays. What was the natural cause of the situation? That people started to work from home office. Next, performance of categories and subcategories. When pandemic has started in Poland and there is a huge lockdown, we were not allowed to go outside, and for a long period of time we couldn't use restaurants or cafes for sit-in. Only you were able to purchase coffee on the go for takeaway. We've monitored a huge decrease in terms of sales of cakes. That was the moment we needed to do something to upgrade the situation in confectionery category. Therefore, we thought about developing totally new segment of easy grab and go solutions for confectionery. We introduced new smaller cakes or donuts or other impulse nice proposition in order to rebuild this category, which worked well. And last but not least, analysis of different part of the days. So you need to be aware where your gaps are, or other way around, where your strength is. So if you have a really good and well-developed morning occasion, then you for sure, first of all, you need to sustain and maintain your sales before 12 o'clock. If you, for example, feel it's not enough to have morning occasion activated, then think about a strong proposition for the evening or maybe for lunch as well. Or maybe refocus your power and your refocus to the evenings or maybe afternoon part of the day. So giving you the example from this area, let's imagine we have stores in two different segments. First of all, we run the business in a travel area, but also we have some stores in city centers as well. And let's imagine we have 2021 and we started the year, so first 3 months with the lockdown. After the lockdown, we've noticed that city centers are pretty well in terms of regaining the transaction level versus the benchmarked year. In terms of the travel, the situation is not so easy, especially that we still have many restrictions in terms of how to travel between the cities or even abroad. What does it mean for us? In terms of the city center, if we see such growth and that the dynamic for this segment is so good, then we can focus about solutions which may bring us more people and engage those people to come and visit us more often. So as you can see, in terms of these city center stores, we could focus more about the first two components I was talking about previously. So more people and more often in our stores. In terms of travel segments, okay, we are not able to rebuild the base of transaction versus benchmark here. But it's not our internal fault. It's because of the external factors. We are not able to jump over it, that we have some restrictions in terms of how to travel to other cities or abroad. Then we can focus about how we can increase the average transactions value. So we could focus about the solutions for this segment in terms of how can I encourage people to purchase more products or maybe more expensive, more premium one in this channel. And last but not least, if we are able to find a new solution or maybe enter a new channel which would cover me the gap created by the travel segment, then do so. For example, here I gave the example of delivery, but maybe you can think also about some solutions like small format solutions, like with solutions next to more touristic places, serving coffee plus some nice grab and go proposition as well. So everything depends on the situation and your business goals. Moving on, if we're talking about the external resources, so of course we can start with data from reliable agencies, as I mentioned before, like those international ones, Kantar, GfK, Nielsen, even Euromonitor, and so on and so on. But you can also look for local resources as well. And of course, if you have a budget for some researches, I would recommend to do so. But naturally, you can also look for numbers online as well. Many of these agencies share some reports online on their website, and you do not have to pay anything for it. It's enough if you spend some time and look for the insights on the web. Secondly, official country statistical data, like we have in Poland, it's called GUS, so it's Central Statistical Office. This office shares many numbers on a regular basis. starting with the economics, moving to behavioral numbers as well. And this is the biggest source of information which you can combine together with the information on the market. And last but not least, web portals relating to HoReCa businesses. So I'm pretty sure that in your countries many websites which try to conclude some of the insights from the businesses, and they usually based also on sources from those external agencies as well. So these are the places you can find more information. And also giving you the example from Polish market. These are the data on the left-hand side. You can see from all online sources, and they were for free. So I'm able to track consumer mood index and check whether people are aware of the economic situation and they feel that the situation is uncertain. I can also check the inflation rate, or maybe how the budgets change on the market. What I can see, for example, here at the end of 2021, we've monitored high inflation rate with visible FMCG goods as well, but also on HoReCa segment as well. We can see pessimistic moods, and I can already assure you that we've monitored the same at the beginning of 2022, when also some tax regulation has changed. What does it mean for our businesses? First of all, we've noticed that people are aware and want to are afraid of the situation. They feel that the situation is uncertain. So they decided to save some money. This is the moment you cannot focus only on building and developing premium segments in within your categories. It's a good moment to play with the emotional messages. Okay, we understand your challenges. We are here for you. We want to cheer you up. Secondly, it's a good moment for us also to offer good value for money, only because we know that people are not willing to spend so much during their visits at once, because they want to save some money as well. So these are the examples how we can use external sources. And last but not least, finding new inspiration. So I would recommend to book the times in your calendars to have a visit at least once per month on the market, not necessarily focusing on your nearest competition. Look wider in terms of who plays on the market, like not necessarily only in terms of coffee stores, but also in terms of restaurants. Check for the trends, what topics are hot online on Facebook, Instagram, maybe also on TikTok, and look how other players activate different occasions, how products within their stores are activated and displayed, what are main price levels, and which are those which are the most popular ones. And last but not least, how products are served. So what is the service model, or maybe how I can learn from it. You do not need to focus only on few players. You can look brighter for insights. And giving you the example from my field as well. Of course, Costa Coffee is chain coffee store, and we play with we compete with other big players on the market. But we also look at what restaurants usually do, what kind of occasion they want to activate, what also ice cream stores do, or maybe even bakery stores. And here's the example of bakery stores from Poland we've monitored. In the Atom last year, morning occasion was heavily addressed by the competitors. We've monitored also a decrease in terms of the transactions before 12 o'clock. Therefore, we knew that, okay, we already have established we have established offer for mornings, but this was the great moment for us to also refresh morning occasion, also to bring some novelties for our guests, to prepare a whole new communication for this occasion. And last but not least, we communicated to our guests. So do not forget about planning new communication of breakfast offer. So if I may say, remember that many sources of information are free of charge, and they are there for you. You can look for them by yourself, even going outside, having a walk through the street, or checking different points or retail stores in your shopping malls, or maybe in travel segment as well. You can also look for some insights online, checking some reliable websites. And as a starting point, I would recommend to check those agencies which are well known, and they share many of their reports for free. And remember about your own data. There are plenty of insights there you can use, and do not focus only on basic KPIs. Always try to deep dive and look for the information, which categories should be addressed, which should be more developed, maybe which ones should be just delisted, or which day part you should focus on, or maybe which days are the most interesting one, and prepare then your final activation marketing calendar, making sure that you address all necessary or most important events during the year, for example, holidays, or maybe even such short holidays like Valentine's Day. So thank you very much for your attention, and if there were any questions.
All right, thank you, Dominika. That was great. I really appreciate how you, contextualized all of these business practices, which, like I said in my introduction, I think some of this, and you said it too, some of this will probably be familiar to people, but I would guess that even people who might have learned this at one point are now too busy, especially in pandemic times, so much uncertainty, to revisit some of those business practices. And it sounds like you have coached a lot of people through this over the years, that you have a lot of experience in explaining this kind of thinking. So thanks for sharing that with us.
This is what I can mention here. Of course, it might sound so easy and obvious, but even we had to learn on our examples and mistakes. Like if we once we decided to bring one activation in live in order to bring more people to our stores, but later on we forgot about moving those people and encourage them to visit our stores more frequently. Therefore, we've monitored only, sales increase only in shorter period of time, and then everything fell down again. So these are the moments you try to learn and do your homework and have your lesson and do not repeat your own mistakes later on. So this is how we've learned as well. So it's not so easy, even if it sounds like that.
Yeah, I heard examples in what you said, both of, and I think this is an interesting thing about data, is that sometimes it can be so overwhelming that it's hard to break it down and focus on one thing. That's a problem that I have, I know. But then I also think that, with your examples, like the one that you just gave, or the example that you gave, or the advice not to just focus on, a single product promotion and the impact in sales of that product, but recognize that it might be broader or harder to connect it to just one single thing. I think there can be a risk on that side too, of focusing so narrowly that then you risk missing the fact that data or behavior doesn't conform to these neat little silos that we can measure.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes if you focus too much, like on, okay, I need to focus on bringing more value via transaction value, then you start forgetting about, okay, but your base of customers basically is shrinking. So you need to do something as well in this field simultaneously. And of course, it doesn't mean that if you have the activation or promotion or I don't know, even event, because I do not want to sound like, okay, right now you need a whole package of many price activation. It doesn't mean not necessarily. It doesn't mean this way, but what I mean, you can activate simultaneously many of these components. You can also target it very precisely. Like, for example, if we have autumn, you can, and if you run the business next to some universities, it is natural that you would like to have and drive more people via those new students who started the adventure with the university. But other way around, in the evening, you can think about some activation to increase your average transaction value via additional activation with, I don't know, new proposition of cakes or maybe new other sandwiches as well. So it doesn't mean that you need to focus at once only on one component. You can target it specifically and adjust them to the situation.
Yeah. I also really liked something that you said about collaboration, because I think that that's a message that we hear a lot, especially the past couple of years, about the cliches about all being in this together, which I think there's truth in that, but it's not a message that I was expecting to hear from the largest company or the largest brand that we have involved in retail summit today. So that was a nice kind of unexpected thing.
Really? To be honest, I really like the previous presentation from today about the luxury brands and how we can cooperate as well. So I would say it's natural find other partners which resonate to your consumers as well. And it's for them, it's obvious that if they purchase your brand, they like the other brand too. And for example, in Poland, right now we have such situation like many of for example, fashion brands. They have their own loyalty programs, so apps for phones, and they are open to offer additional discounts for their own external partners. So, for example, if you go to the shop brand A, without any names maybe, and you have their own app, you have also the section with, okay, these are, thank you that you are our member in our loyalty program. Then you have also a discount for our in our partners stores, and we have such cooperation in our countries as well. So, and this is the win-win situation, because we inform our guests that, okay, you have the discounts for this brand A, and other way around, they inform their guests in their loyalty program that if they visit our stores, they will have also a nice offer for them.
Yeah. Well, I want to take a couple of questions from the audience. I'm actually going to try to wrap two of them together because they're both about the Polish market. So one person asked about comparing the Polish market to, for example, Hungary or the Netherlands, and similarities and differences. And then another person asks about Costa's success in Poland. The factors you mentioned, many factors that would be really foundational for business anywhere. But as I said, it was a surprise to me to learn that Costa had more locations in Poland, or so many locations in Poland. So, just wondering, what makes the Polish market different, and what makes Costa successful in Poland.
What I would say, everything started. There was a great momentum for chain coffee store in Poland like a decade ago, I would say. When Poles were really open to visit such stores, it was the moment they would feel they would like to, feel in Western movies from UK or maybe from US. So basically, Costa Coffee or Starbucks and any other player from international market were perceived at the time as this more premium brand, which is so valuable for the consumer, and it really resonated for the guests for guests at the time. And there was a great moment for development of the stores in a country as well, I would say. So that was the moment where Costa listened carefully to the guests, what were the needs of the guest, how to answer them with the great quality of coffee, because everything started with communication about great quality of coffee. So basically what we started today with the first session, how to encourage people and engage our consumers that we have crafted coffee and this product is with great quality. So if you resonate with the quality of the product, you can add more components to your business. So add cross-selling with the food proposition, add cross-selling with the merchandise offer, add cross-selling with your packed coffee and to be brought as home as well, etc., etc. So I would say that starting with a great momentum and listening to the guests' needs as well.
And as you're thinking about growth, again, Cost is differentiated from some of the other presenters we've heard from today by having this international network. And I wonder whether you all are thinking about the next phase in growth as coming from retail cafes, like there are so many of in Poland and the UK, or whether you see more growth from some of these other means of reaching people, like in grocery stores, or the proud to serve Costa partnerships with hotels, restaurants, catering, service stations, whatever the kind of typical partner is for that.
Yeah, natural. So next step is not only to develop the stores. It's not enough right now to develop coffee business, but our aim is to be whenever our guests needs us. So basically, of course, we have coffee stores, but in some cases we also want to give our consumers RTD solutions, so ready to drink, like iced coffee from the stores, like convenience stores. But also right now, what is so important during the pandemic, and this category also grew as well, packed coffee to be consumed at home. So the question is whether what is the current situation in the particular country. If you see the potential for each platform, so by platform I mean to be available as a coffee store, to be available as a packed coffee, to be consumed at home, to be available at ready-to-drink proposition, and so on and so on. Then you just go and enter it. We also, together with our colleagues from Coca-Cola, right now we are developing at-home segment as well. So therefore, there is a huge buzz around our packed coffee on the market, and right now you can see not necessarily only coffee store information or ads, but also at-home packed proposition as well.
So it all kind of goes hand in hand. You develop a relationship with someone someplace, and then that carries over into other channels.
Exactly. Everything depends on the situation and what are the trends and what are the needs of the guests. So I would always say, in terms of my field, put your consumer in the center and listen to him or her, because basically he would pay for your product at the end. So if the consumer trends say to you that, okay, I need some convenient solutions, like, for example, we see in Japan, where ready-to-drink market is so huge. So entering coffee market with our brand in Japan, starting with coffee stores, wouldn't be the right beginning, I would say. So therefore, we started there as a company with ready-to-drink proposition. In terms of Europe, where Costa as a coffee store segment is so huge and well developed, it is a natural step that we treat our coffee stores as a flagship store, so maybe to justify the premiumization of our brand. And therefore, the natural step in such countries in which we already have stores is to propose at-home packs for home consumption.
Yeah, that's a nice juxtaposition, two different strategies for two different markets where there's going to be a really different level of awareness of Costa as a brand, and then also just different consumption habits. There was a question here that seemed unique to me, or I hadn't thought to ask you this one, so I wanted to make sure that we got to it, which is, do you have any upselling or training for your front of house baristas, and are they set daily targets?
Yes, we do train our baristas. However, we've noticed, and I would say everything depends on how you want to be perceived by your guests. Because, for example, if we say about the service model, like very strict standardized model, there is a brand on the market with golden arches, I would say, without giving the name, which have really standardized model in terms of how you would like to go with your consumer through the sales. And if it's the way you like, naturally you can prepare such trainings just to follow some rules, follow some steps, and the question which should be asked. If you do not want to be perceived this way, but maybe more like more flexible and a brand which answer guest needs, you still need to prepare some guidelines, but you do not have to be so strict. So in our terms, yes, we do have our service model in which we combine both cross-selling and upselling questions. However, they are not so strict because of the fact that the most important thing here is to listen to our guests. So I would say, okay, we have KPIs, naturally. We are a huge company. We need to base on something, but it's not like we would say, okay, you need to focus only on one product during the campaign. It's like rather bench of products which are the priority, or maybe a subcategory we would like to focus on during the particular season. And then KPIs relates to such group of products.
Yeah. Okay, so we have time for one more question, and there are two that I'm going to try to wrap up together because they're kind of about delivery. And one of them comes from Kenya, which is it's great to see people tuning in even outside the regions that we are advertising as the Retail Summit for. So one person asks about being a specialty beverage company a specialty coffee company in Kenya and finding that coffee beverages don't travel well. And then another person asks about location in retail business and, delivery services and home delivery options. So I just wondered, if I could tie those two together and ask about how you all are looking at delivery, especially beverage delivery, and whether there are any sort of lessons from that or insights that you could give to this audience.
Okay, if you consider to enter delivery segments, I would give you such advices. So first of all, check your costs, whether you can afford your own delivery system so that you have your own drivers, or whether it's better for your P&L to have the cooperation like we have, for example, with Uber Eats as one of the supplier of the delivery service. So this is the first starting point. So which is more comfortable for you and which it plays well with your P&L. Secondly, these questions which you have asked are really natural ones. So start with testing. So check the operational and quality factors. So how much time you need in order to deliver still product which is still warm and with great quality. And this test we ran 2 years ago with one of our partners, and it turned out that it's crucial to have such stores not so far from the destination points. So therefore there is a radiation point added to the system, which do not allow you to purchase the coffee from our stores if you are not closer than 3 kilometers ish, as far as I remember. So this, at least, give you this this assurance that coffee should be delivered warm. And if there is any problem, we, together with our partners, we always answer such challenges and issues and try to rework the radiation and so on, and the time, how fast the coffee should be delivered to our guests. But basically, it's really important to make sure that it's delivered within up to 15 or 20 minutes maximum, because otherwise it would be I would say even pointless to offer the coffee, because no one likes to drink coffee after 1 hour of preparation. So yes, naturally, check which kind of system would be the most suitable for you. So own delivery system, or maybe a huge partner which covers the market, or maybe few partners at once, so which would cover you the majority of the market. And secondly, do some tests, really do some tests before you decide to launch it in most of the stores. So you can even try with 1 or 2 stores, just to make sure that from operational point of view, everything works well.
It's good advice. What I hear you speaking to is the need to, ahead of time, do the research and maybe set some firm boundaries from the beginning about what you're going to deliver and how far you're going to go. But then, in contrast, be flexible afterwards, because if someone has an issue with what they ordered from you, it's incumbent upon you to have some sort of remediation plan in place. So boundaries at the front and then flexibility at the back.
Exactly.
All right. Well, we are out of time. So it's been great to hear from you and to talk to you, Dominika. I really appreciate you being here today.
Thank you very much.
So that brings us to the end of the first day of the 2022 Coffee Retail Summit. I'd like to thank all of our presenters. So that's Jessica, Michael, Paul, Serafina, Pascal, and Dominika, for their generosity with their time and experiences. All of my colleagues who were hosts today, but also working behind the scenes to make this whole operation run smoothly. And of course, to our sponsors. So that's Astoria, BWT, Water and More, Simonelli Group, Brewista, Chemex, and Baristas, for making it possible to do this free of charge and broadcast it out to the world. And then finally, thank you to all of you for being here, for your questions, for your attention today. It's been really fun to get to participate in all of these conversations in the chat with you all. We hope to see you again soon, whether that's online on Wednesday or at another upcoming online event, or at an in-person event sometime somewhere. So have a good evening, everyone, and thanks again. Bye.